thank you very much for agreeing to talk to us. Thank you for your time. And I thought that what I'd do is just begin by running past you my plan for more progress to be made on a large scale to solve this problem than is currently being made. And quite simply because at the moment you've got a vast amount of money and effort happening at government, both nationally and locally. You've got an enormous amount happening in the charity sector, like £500 million a year between all the major charities going to trying to end homelessness. But the property industry is conspicuous by its absence, right? As far as I can tell, it does as good as nothing. In its simplest terms, notwithstanding the myriad complex issues that surround this nightmare, the raw ingredients and resources exist, and if they are brought to bear alongside government and charity, then at the very least there could be the potential for a significant improvement. My plan is a three-pronged one. Number one, there is a trickling tap of what I've called avoidable new homelessness. So if you can reduce the supply of new homelessness by preventing cases where actually these people should never have ended up homelessness because they're in work, they're fully paid up in their rent, they're not in arrears, they're not antisocial, there's no problems on antisocial behaviour, it's just sheer bad luck. And of course, once they end up without a home, the chances of holding on to their job reduce. It doesn't help anybody for those guys who made homelessness. So, and roughly speaking, looking at my research, it's something like 1 in 3 cases of new homelessness are in that category. There are people who are in work who are paid up. If you like, it's the low-hanging fruit. It's the easier problem to solve. But by solving that, or by reducing the supply of new homelessness, of course, you alleviate the pressure on councils and charities that are dealing with this problem, and government. Step 2 is, very roughly speaking, a sort of a rent guarantee scheme for people who are perhaps on universal credit. They're renting privately at the moment. Their landlord has had to ask them to leave for whatever reason. They're being evicted through no fault of their own. New landlords are saying, yeah, we would accept them, but only with a guarantee. And they don't have a guarantee. And so some form of rent guarantee scheme that could be supported by the property industry. It would benefit the landlord, it would benefit the tenant, but it would need some form of local qualifying check to say, hang on a second, is this genuinely a low risk tenant? Is their track record genuinely good? Does their previous landlord say, do you know what, they've been fine, they've never given me any problems? So it's a different category because these are the ones who aren't in work, they're on universal credit or similar. But again, helps to reduce the supply of new homelessness in a way that actually is in the interest of everybody. And the third one, that's probably more complex, and again, this is based on a very small amount of experience I've had. I did some volunteering for Crisis over Christmas a long time ago, but what I learned from doing that was, again, with rough sleepers, there is an element, or there are a percentage of rough sleepers who, again, don't have any complex social issues, quite possibly are actually still in work, and really have just fallen between the stools and just bad luck. Maybe it's a relationship ending, maybe it's whatever it might be, and therefore will probably be eligible for what I'm calling an Airbnb type scheme, where if they're brand new to rough sleeping, they're working, they can quite quickly be assessed by someone as being, this is a low risk person to put into very short-term temporary. So we're talking about 1 or 2 weeks while they get themselves back on their feet. You then provide a scheme where you say to the owners of suitable properties that there is a scheme where they will get paid something for their property being used. They have the right to end that occupation within whatever it is, 7 days or whatever. It's definitely seen as like hotel type situation. So this is not the same as temporary accommodation where the people are put into bed and breakfasts on a sort of rolling basis. What I can bring is the technology platform that would allow that to be very easy. Okay, and again, perhaps it's someone at council level, perhaps it's an agent needs to just verify this person is seen as an acceptable risk, and that this is something that BestAgent is looking to provide the insurance to the landlord and say, if there's any damage to your property, as a result of this, you're insured and you're indemnified against it.
I mean, what I was drawn to, like I say, was the fact that you were able to really clearly display, and I saw your follow-up video as well, where you sectioned out the amount. I mean, it's quite something, isn't it, when you put it in those terms? The amount of profit that they're able to make, and actually the amount that's divided out into and given to charitable trusts or whatever, and then only a certain percentage of that going to homelessness. When you actually, and you're absolutely right, homelessness, it's got to be the work of the people who are working with homes. The estate agents are dealing. They are often they know the community extremely well.
Yeah.
They know the areas. They know the problem areas. They know the great area, and all this sort of thing. They are often the people on the ground who are best placed to support, and yet such a small percentage of resources is put towards them. Brilliant. Let's try and turn that around. But you have the connections, and it seems that that what will be something that could draw in agents estate agents and being able to fund and support some work. Let's say from my perspective, one of the hardest things that we find is getting hold of resources and funding that are sustainable.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to need homes and houses. It's absolutely key.
I hope to get support from government level, council level, and then try and get. I mean, the most powerful thing you can do is get a big public movement. If you get if you can do that, and if you make them aware of something and give them an easy campaign to get behind, and that's where the YouTube comes in. You build a big enough YouTube following, it's massively powerful.
An initiative that's happened here in Weymouth and Portland. Safe Sleep is a collaboration between the Churches in Action in Weymouth and Portland and Julian's House, which is a homeless charity, and the Lantern Trust, which is an independent charity here in Weymouth. And it involves 6 of the churches opening up their doors for a period of a week or 2 weeks to invite those who didn't have a home to come and have somewhere safe to sleep for the night. There would be a worker, so a paid worker from the Lantern Trust would stay every single night, and there'd be somebody there from Julian's House who would engage with them, as I say, like once a week. And the whole point of that wasn't to sort of look at who are you and what are you doing, but actually how can we help you to move on from just sleeping here into sustainable accommodation. And so it proved really effective because they'd obviously build up the relationship with the people who are providing the service, and we just help give them that confidence that, yes, we can get you somewhere to stay. For the local community, it's massive because you've got, obviously you've got the faith-based community working just with other organisations, but as I say, you've got workers from all different kind of backgrounds, different people ploughing into it. And I think the mayor ended up making it their charity of the year that they contributed towards. Because you do suddenly feel an ownership locally over those people. And I think that in terms of sustainability and caring about your community, it was just, that's what kind of unexpectedly grew out of it.
I'm very excited at the prospect of actually turning this into a conversation that actually helps even one person into a place they might not otherwise have been. That also the agent says, yeah, that was a great idea.